Hey everyone, Omogonix here and welcome back to a brand new video here on the channel. In today's video I'd like to talk about Mushies Kitchen Reheated and my most recent game that I've released called Xmas Slaughter, plus future projects too. But before I do get to talking about all that, since this is probably going to be one of my last videos of 2023, I just want to thank the people who have supported me throughout this year, whether you've been playing my games or watching my YouTube videos this year or even in previous years. The support does mean a lot to me, no matter how big or small, and I really do appreciate it. We are approaching the end of 2023 now, so try to have a good 2024, and if you celebrate Christmas, I hope you guys have a good Christmas too. So first up, let's talk about Mushies Kitchen Reheated. For those who aren't aware, not long ago, I started development on a new Mushies Kitchen game, which is a reboot to the Mushies Kitchen games trilogy I made earlier this year. Development on the game was going quite well. I was even sharing screenshots and a bit of gameplay here and there. However, over time, I just found myself not really liking the game, and since I didn't know too much about Godot at the time, I feel like the structure of the game wasn't the best it could have been also. That's why I'd like to tell you guys that Mushies Kitchen Reheated will be restarting development. I'm going to scrap the old project to make something better, and fun fact, before I decided to stop development on the current version of Mushies Kitchen Reheated, Chapter 0 was almost complete. I still decided to scrap it though, since I just didn't really like it that much. Mushies Kitchen Reheated is on hiatus now, since I've got other stuff I want to get out of the way before getting back to Mushies Kitchen Reheated. But for anyone who's disappointed to not see the current form of Mushies Kitchen Reheated release, I'm confident that the new version of Mushies Kitchen Reheated will be a lot better, since I know a lot more about Godot now, plus I'm more happier with the story I have planned for it as well. So in conclusion, Mushies Kitchen Reheated will be put on hiatus and I will restart development on it when I get around to it. I know a lot of you guys in particular were happy to see a new Mushies Kitchen game being made, but unfortunately I just didn't like the current form of it, and I think I can do a lot better. If you've never played the original Mushies Kitchen games before, all three of them are free on my itch.io page, so be sure to check them out if you want to. Next up, let's talk about Xmas Slaughter. Xmas Slaughter is a Christmas-themed FPS platformer with some horror themes where you play as a psychotic elf who wants to end Christmas once and for all. I started development on this game in late November, so it took me around 2 or more weeks to make, and I am honestly proud with how the game turned out. I was spending lots of time working on it since it was a really fun game to work on, and it was a good opportunity for me to improve my skills with Godot as well. Xmas Slaughter was the first Godot game of mine to include AI that can chase and hurt the player. Same goes for some of the other mechanics and systems in the game too. I do like Godot as an engine, and of course I do have my problems with it sometimes, but I get like that with Unity too. Every engine I get like that with. Before the release of the game, I had this game-breaking bug start happening where whenever I pressed the start button, the game would crash. I tried lots of stuff in order to fix the bug, but after hours of trying, I couldn't find a solution, so I decided to export the game in debug mode, since I noticed how the game-breaking bug wouldn't occur in a debug build of the game. So if you're wondering why the Xmas Slaughter game window says Xmas Slaughter and then in parentheses debug, it's because the game is running as a debug build, since that was the only solution I could find at the moment to fix the game-breaking bug. If you haven't played Xmas Slaughter yet, consider checking it out. It's free. I had a bunch of fun working on the game, and the aspect of fun is something I wanted to put first when making Xmas Slaughter. I plan to use Xmas Slaughter as a template for future FPS projects I make in Godot, since it is definitely a good starting point for the development of future FPS projects. One thing I'm proud of in particular is the elves AI and how they can jump over tables and GIFs and stuff like that. That was one of my favourite things to implement. Overall, thanks to the people who have checked out Xmas Slaughter so far, it means a lot, and I am glad to see people have had fun with the game so far. I can confidently say I will be making more games similar to Xmas Slaughter in the future, which may have more of a horror tone to them than Xmas Slaughter, but I guess we'll wait and see. Another game of mine I'd like to also talk about is ULEM Shadow Memories, a psychological horror game being developed by myself and Aaron Wise. I'm doing most of the in-engine and coding work, meanwhile Aaron is making most of the models. I know I didn't mention I'd be talking about ULEM at the start of the video, but that's because I didn't plan to talk about it, but I wanted to talk about it quickly anyway. I'm very proud with how ULEM Shadow Memories is coming along. Just recently I released the first full game trailer for it, which you can go check out. Development has been going decently, and there's a bunch of changes and additions which I'm proud of, and I can't wait to show them off in either future trailers, screenshots, or gameplay clips I share. Even since the last full game trailer I shared, ULEM Shadow Memories has improved a bunch in a lot of ways. Also, fun fact, since my PC is kinda crappy in terms of its GPU, when I record trailers for some of my games, ULEM Shadow Memories included, I usually have to turn down certain graphics settings, mainly post-processing settings and the resolution, in order to get a decent frame rate when recording gameplay. So even though the game still looks good in the trailer, it will look even better when playing for yourself, if you have a powerful enough PC to run the game at max settings, of course. A goal of mine is to optimize ULEM Shadow Memories as much as possible. The demo was actually quite optimized in my opinion. Even I could run it at 900p to 1080p FPS at high graphics and post-processing off. I will be getting to optimizing the full game eventually, but that'll be when a majority of the game is fully developed. Overall, I can't wait to share more of ULEM Shadow Memories progress, and I think you guys will enjoy it a lot when it comes out. The game will be packed with lots of content since it is going to be a paid game, so I'll want to make sure it's worth the value, of course. There will be a bunch of puzzles to solve, monsters to hide from, and areas to explore, so be sure to consider wishlisting ULEM Shadow Memories on Steam and checking out the free demo on itch.io to get a small taste of the game for yourselves. The last topic I'd like to talk about today is my future projects. I've always got new game projects planned and in development. In fact, I've probably got 5 or so game ideas I want to eventually work on at some point. Usually when I'm making my games, because I can't just focus on one thing since I get bored easily, I like to work on multiple projects at the same time to keep things fresh. Last few weeks, for example, I've been mainly focusing on both ULEM Shadow Memories and Xmas Slaughter, but more so Xmas Slaughter if I'm being honest. I don't like to work on more than 3 or so projects of my own at the same time, since I feel like then I'm just overwhelming myself. If you're wondering what sort of games I have planned for the future, just earlier on in the video I talked about how I plan to use Xmas Slaughter as a template for future FPS projects, so I do have a new FPS project planned that I will get to eventually. I also want to get to working on Bodhi and Friends 2, since I loved making Bodhi and Friends 1, and even though Bodhi and Friends isn't popular, it is still one of my more favourite games that I've made, and I'd love to continue its story with a sequel. Anyways guys, that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about today, so in conclusion overall, Mushies Kitchen Reheated is on pause, and I'll be restarting development on that soon. I talked a bit about Xmas Slaughter and a few things about the game's development, and then I talked about a few potential future projects I have planned, such as another FPS game using Xmas Slaughter as a template, and Bodhi and Friends 2. Even though Bodhi and Friends 2 is probably going to be a while away, it is still something I want to eventually make, and there's probably a couple of projects that I will be making before then. Before I do end the video, I just do want to remind you guys to consider wishlisting ULEM Shadow Memories on Steam and checking out the free demo on itch.io as well. And if you want to, consider buying Bodhi and Friends on Steam or itch.io if you haven't played it already. Otherwise, you can check out the old demo version from 2022 on itch.io, which is free as well. Oh, and then there's Xmas Slaughter. You can check that out for free on itch.io if you want to as well. Again guys, that's the end of this video, and I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.